Hello, Pastor Nolan Soldahl back with a Thursday thought this afternoon. Usually I do these in the mornings, but I'm doing it this afternoon. So, as I'm thinking and ruminating on teaching this Sunday specifically, I'm dealing with the concept of success and how we define that. Our culture often definitely sees success and says, oh, I know exactly how that's defined, and we all know how that's defined. And this is a kind of a universal thing in the world. This isn't just Western American culture. This seems to be a universal understanding of success. And it's having a lot of land, having a big house, being fat and healthy physically or unhealthy. Now that we know being fat, back in the 1400s, being fat was a sign of having a lot of food, which means you're wealthy, right? So again, it goes back to money. Land means more space to farm on and more people to house on your land. Therefore, it is prosperous. So money. And when we think about success and we think about wealth and we think about finances, a character in the Bible comes to my mind, and that's the King Solomon, David's son, the wise king, yeah? And he knew this was the definition of success. So this is not just something universal throughout the world, at least, but this is now something throughout time. We've always understood and measured success by how many pyramids you can build and by how much wealth you have, gold, money, accumulation of goods, how many servants. Like, this is something we have always done. And Solomon himself in Ecclesiastes says, I had it all. I had everything. So let me talk to you about it for a second. When he says in chapter 2 that he had everything, he then goes to say, I had wisdom, I've seen foolishness. Throughout the world, there's been universal truths that are fact, and they happen. And he lists those in chapter 1. And so he recognizes all those and shares them with the audience, and then he says, and so I recognize that it's all meaningless. The Hebrew word there is hevel. The word hevel means smoke or vapor. It's a concept word. It's not a construct word. So vanity is a word that you'll see in your Bible for this. Meaningless in some translations. But really, the Hebrew word there is deeper. It's much more hard to grasp. You see what I did there? It's smoke. It's vapor. You try and grab it, and it's impossible. It's fleeting from you. It's right there, and it's impossible to have. It's nothing, and yet it's there. It's meaningless. And so Solomon himself recognizes he had every measure and standard of the world of wealth, and yet it was nothing. It was worthless for all intents and purposes. And then later on he says, and yet, as for a human, all that we can do is what comes from the Lord and is good. And what comes from the Lord and is good is to eat, drink, be merry, have a good life, live in wisdom, live well with the Lord, but only with the Lord, for nothing good can come from any place else but the Lord. So of all the things he had, he measured in success the Lord and God being his success, because everything he did, everything he got to in that point was meaningless unless he had the Lord. So that's the Thursday thought for you. I know this video is a little longer than usual, but it's good. It's good because it hits me. So if it hits me, I can't be the only one. Thank you for listening and watching as always. God bless.